Memphis, we've achieved one of the largest, fastest declines in violent crime ever recorded. That includes a 60% drop in robberies, a 74% drop in carjacking. So we've achieved a 70% reduction in murders from the peak in this place. In total, we've arrested 7,000 criminals, seized more than 1,100 illegal guns, taken more than 1,000 pounds of illicit narcotics, and rescued more than 150 missing children, making their parents beyond happy.
Tonight's Red Hot video. President Trump is on the move to make America's cities safe again. The president met with his safety task force in Memphis, Tennessee today, touting the success of the operation, making 7,200 arrests and seizing over 1,100 firearms since it began last September. Mercy, I know that the president can sometimes engage in hyperbole, so I was curious, and I looked it up, and he's not wrong, right? Yeah. In the past 2 years, Memphis overall crime down like 40% in 2025 alone. So the relevant data point, Memphis saw a 26% decrease in murders and a 48% reduction in carjackings.
They were averaging more than 1 murder per day. Just think about that, with a crime rate higher than Colombia, Mexico City, or Baghdad, which is just insane when you think about that happening in American cities. But it just shows the effectiveness of President Trump thinking outside the box, saying, let's bring in the National Guard, let's support the law enforcement in these cities. We saw that change dramatically here in Washington, D.C., where crime went down. He was working closely with the mayor, and it was safe to walk the streets of Washington again. And so when you look at these other blue cities like Chicago and others, like, you just realize it's such a disaster. They don't necessarily, it wasn't about being bipartisan on this issue. It was about, as you know, Pritzker uses in that language, F Trump. And it's absolutely disgusting. It's all about playing politics and not about solving the real problem, which is ensuring community safety and public safety.
Yeah, and Chris, you know, I know like the libertarian in me was very scared about federalism when Trump announced this, and I get skittish. It seems like as long as the Democrat local governance is willing to work with him, it turns out pretty well. And again, us in D.C., we have that as an anecdata point, right?
Well, have you noticed that there has been no anarchy anywhere in the United States of America with enforcing our immigration laws or with ICE or with border protection since the lunatics in Minnesota were shut down? You know, the ICE and Border Patrol are still doing what they were doing in Minnesota all over the country, but because leftists all over the country aren't, you know, crashing their cars into them and bringing guns to the riots, the Democrats haven't gotten anybody killed anyplace else. But this is 100% the Democrats getting everybody killed. Look in Chicago. I think they've had 27 people shot and killed this month and another 75 shot and wounded in Chicago. And these are all, I don't call them blue cities, I call them Democrat cities because they're red. Make no mistake about it. We know we're the only country in the world that doesn't identify the left as red. The only country in the world, and that's because the Democrat Party got to choose, and they chose blue because they didn't want to be identified with their true color of red. But honestly, in St. Louis, murders down 76%, carjackings down 74%. That all goes to President Trump, to Republican thinking. You want them back up again? You want the children murdered all over the place? Just give the Democrats free rein and everybody will be murdered before they're done.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.